So as I told you, Dmitry Karataev, Director of Software Engineering with 12 years of experience, including the work in the United States. Dmitry, hello, how is the weather in Austin?
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining this webinar with me today. So my weather is great. It's gloomy. It's actually kind of steamy. I don't like this kind of weather, so I'm kind of depressed. It's a kind of depressing, but it's Austin. Actually, it's changing quite rapidly all the time. So, and to elaborate a little bit of what of Nadia said previously, and please excuse me, sometimes my pronunciations or the Russian words give me trouble, so I have some delay. And if I speak too fast, again, please tell me. I will try to slow down. It's one of the common, not even mistakes, but threats that sometimes I have. So
Yeah,
it's very interesting one because I spoke with Evgenia probably like a couple of weeks ago, and she just came with this idea. So all the phrases, all the idioms, all the abbreviations, all the examples you actually will see today, this is something I've collected over course of last 2 weeks from my professional communication with colleagues, with executives, with my subordinates, and also with my friends. And again, don't worry, we will be sharing this presentation after this webinar. So there is probably a lot of content that, and I hope I will have time for some quiz, for some interaction with you. Again, don't afraid to ask questions and just feel free. It's supposed to be a fun session. It's not a lesson. All right, but let's get started. So a little bit very fast about me. Yes, 12 plus years experience. I was living in US. I daily speak with quite different stakeholders and groups of the people: developers, executives, C-level investors, subordinate like middle management, employees, and government agencies. So I think I have a good sense of the different different teams and different collaboration and some of the common techniques and communications, how they introduce themselves and how we communicate. So today I will probably focus mostly on very specific areas. We will speak about emails and chat. It's still the main communication channel in US and in your work. We briefly touch some unspoken rule of the professional communications. Nothing new here. It will be nothing new here, but I just want to lay down some of the foundations. Small talks and humor is actually, for me, it's quite important subject because this is you will face this everywhere, and and personally, I hate small talks. Just hear me out. I hate that, but it also indicates that I have to master this because the ability of having small talks and especially understand and apply proper humor is crucial for your networking, and it's crucial for you be not even accepted, but consider as a native, or however you want to call it. And lastly, I will share some of the idioms and that, again, I just find out, and all of them we're using for like last couple of weeks, and some of my personal common mistakes that it might be interesting sharing with you. Okay. And I will be adjust if you run out of time. Obviously, I will skip something. Again, we will share this presentation, so all the phrases will be here. But let's start with a little warm-up. So this is kind of, and again, this is a list of the abbreviations, and I actually encourage you, if you can give me a very quick explanation, if you know some of them, or if you can chat like one by one, what they mean right now. So let's try it if it works really fast. So first abbreviation will be SAP. So any guesses why? What does it mean? And it's being used daily, especially everything must be done yesterday.
Yes, as soon as possible. Yes, exactly. We have the correct answer.
As soon as possible. So next one, and this is actually always, by the way, excellent. It's being used all the time. Third one is from social media. Any guesses? FUI?
Yeah.
Okay, those are easy. Next one, NA. It's usually US specific. So any guess? Not allowed, not exactly. Close, but yes, not applicable. And obviously you can Google. I'm not trying to be determined. Okay, so to be done, TBD is actually very common and common use of that abbreviation. Like you will see in many spreadsheets and many project management tools, Jira tickets, especially if it's a easy way to indicate that you haven't decided or haven't understood yet. So ETA use all the time. And you get
no ideas? Something related to copy.
It's a CC BCC, but
CC,
yes. ETA.
Yeah, what about ETA, guys? Any ideas? End of the day. Not EOD, yes, but what about ETA?
Okay, so it's a ETA. It's a short name to like deadlines technically. What's your ETA? When you will be finished? What's the ETA? Can you provide any ETA for this task? So, and it's similar with EOD, which is end of the day. One thing about CC BCC, it's one of the great examples that actually the abbreviation came transform into verb, like I will CC you, I will BCC you. It's used all the time, and this is actually very common. Okay, RE, it's which one, this one is quite important for me. I'm hearing all the time. What's our RE on the project? What's your options? What's estimate your RE? Like you will hear this all the time, and this is connected with P&L, obviously, profit and loss statement. Okay, and the last one, this was very unfamiliar for me. I actually saw this a lot. I never bothered to. I know the meaning, but I never bothered to understand what it actually means. But yes, apparently Alexander knows this a lot. So technically, RSVP requires please respond if you're going to attend to any event. So RSVP means that the organizer expects confirmation of your presence or your participation in any kind of event. And RSVP is, it's actually, I believe, embedded in the most common platforms like Calendar, Google, Apple Calendars, Microsoft Calendars, Teams, and stuff like that. So these abbreviations are being used all the time.
And Dmitry, I think we have a question from Anatoly. Anatoly, would you mind to take the floor?
Sure.
We don't see you. Or maybe you would like to type your question. Anatoly, let me know when you are ready to ask your question. But anyway, Dmitry, thank you very much. So I think some abbreviations were new to our participants, and please pay your special attention to the way how you can use it every day in your everyday speech and so on. And as a trainer across language school, I often hear from my students when we study the abbreviations, and we do study the abbreviations during like almost all the courses. It is embedded, this topic is embedded into our courses, like ERP, English for ERP students, for IT project management, and very fundamental and comprehensive course that we have is English for tech people. So they keep asking me, do they really use these abbreviations? So let me forward this question to you, Dmitry. Do they really use that in their everyday communication?
Yes, all the time. As I said, those, I mean, I shortened the list to use only most common one, but this is what I face like during last 2 weeks in my emails and chat communication. As I
So
said,
please.
I didn't Google anything extra for that.
Okay, I see. So dear students, please pay your attention that they do use it, and please learn them and feel free to use them as well. Okay, thank you. Especially in tech field, it's widely used. Okay, can't agree more. Exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't say tech field, but like one of the fun story about CC BCC. So I have a friend, he's a VP of the strategy in one of the company, and I actually ran this presentation over him, and we had some kind of heated discussion about what CC means. Like initially, it was a carbon copy as a function from the email, but he insisted that in his world, or like VP of strategy, they are using this as a courtesy copy. So which kind of influence? So this term was influenced by the business process itself, which was interesting. Again, just a small remark here that language is evolving, and some of these terms are being used like slightly different, and it's completely okay. Right. So to kind of, I wouldn't go through the general rules like for what's formal and informal tone is, but just I want to give you idea that yes, knowing your audience is the key. I wouldn't use the same language speaking with government agency or the investors, and I wouldn't use the same phrases or idioms I will use in my day-by-day communication with colleagues who knows me, or with my friends, for instance. So, and some of them, again, it's very general rule, but actually it will be my last quiz for today. So if you're tired, but again, this is examples of the phrases I cut from again email and chat communications, and I just want to help me estimate like how do you feel? Is it appropriate to use those phrases in the formal or informal communications? And if you are not familiar with meanings of some of this, let me know, because this is actually one of the challenges, because I use a few idioms here that might be not familiar or not exactly means not exactly the direct translation of that word. So shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Is it like common word? I mean, it's quite common here, but I'm always running into shenanigans all the time. So it's
Any ideas? Maybe some synonyms you can guess? Shenanigans.
right. So
Quite challenging.
It's obviously informal, and it's usually indicate if you run with something unexpected and something like something happened, not necessarily bad, but definitely something unexpected. What the heck? How the heck?
Yeah.
very informal.
What
But
the heck?
it's what the heck is going on here? I mean, it helps helps express like frustration and to give some emotional support. Exactly, I like that. Какого черта? I went into a rabbit hole. Very widely used expression, idiom, meaning that it's I don't know how to solve this problem. I'm out of options. I need help technically. So I'm circling around. I have no solution. Yes, we should take into consideration.
So do you think it's formal or informal, guys?
Sorry. It's very formal, yes, and
yes, exactly.
You will feel that that a lot in your official communications.
Yes.
We should take into consideration your objections or we would like to keep and whatever. Yeah, keeping score.
Keeping score. Formal or informal?
Score. Yes, it is informal. It's mostly indication of the like Russian expression will be like collecting the stones, kind of, or один ноль в твою пользу лишь. Oh, my boss loves using next one. Respectively disagree.
Yeah, let me respectively disagree with you. Sounds
that phrase.
Formal.
Because she has very strong opinion on everything, so she used this a lot. Next one. So this was actually used during our incident. We had a production incident, and this phrase was from our incident response chat. But yes, yep, very informal, but definitely allow inside the tight group communication or group with people who you know work together. And folks, it's a kind of slam. It's considered okay, but kind of. I was, and sorry, Nadia, I had to point that when you said newbies, it's kind of
newbies.
Yes, it's wrapped my back in the wrong way a little bit.
Really?
So, yes.
But newbies aren't these people who are here for the first time?
It's in the US. It might be a little bit offensive.
Oh, really? Oh, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. That's interesting.
It's okay in informal communications, but webinar I wouldn't use that.
In informal, it might be okay in informal, but of course, never use that in formal communication. Exactly. Thank you.
Not sure I want to go to that road or that road. So means that I kind of. I mean, it's close to respectively disagree, or if you want to. Somebody is reading my presentation, right?
Looks like that.
Okay, but Alexander, can you explain the meaning of the? So the likelihood of her getting is probably soon. Any meanings of that?
So what could that mean? Because I think to most of us it would sound rather formal than informal or neutral, yeah? Шансы невелики. Correct?
Yes, I mean, I would. It's depending of the context. It can be used both ways. Yes, it's really what exactly you apply. Perfect. Yes, and cleaning of the gutters.
Yeah, cleaning of the gutters.
Чистить в конюшне, типа.
Okay, so
obviously informal.
Obviously informal, exactly. Thank you.
And again, in this presentation, I will just give you some more examples of that. I wouldn't spend time on this right now. Again, you can always, if you're interested, you can reference this presentation and get some examples of informal tone. Like, got a sec, I need to run something by you. I use all the time. Keep me in loop, please, especially with my subordinates. No worries if you can get this right away. Again, very commonly used phrases. Your request has been duly noted and forwarded to the relevant department. You will hear this all the time when you deal with bureaucratic machine in US all the time. Oh, like your contribution to this project has been invaluable. Always. All right. All right. I will pause on this section because I know Nadia has some announcement to make.
Yeah, just a little pause. I would like to dive a little bit into detail. So let me share my screen really quickly. It will take just 1 minute, and we will continue. As you know, for those of you who want to dive a little bit more into detail, we are excited to announce that starting from June 6th, we are ready to launch the online marathons covering exactly all the issues that we are discussing today. So make a leap from theory to practice. As you can see, the duration of this marathon is 7 days only, and you're welcome to choose any mode you like, with or without a trainer. Yeah, but before making your decision, please notice that Evgenia Hafizova, our fabulous director and the author of the courses at a cross-language school, will be your trainer during this marathon. So at the end of the marathon, you'll be able to download all the useful resources, and moreover, you will have access to the materials for another 3 months, guys. So to apply, please visit our website. You can click the Apply to Marathon button, and or just write to our Telegram chat and we will answer you. And please don't hesitate to do that, because you can see that the price is really, really reasonable. So take your opportunity and dive more into detail and apply to the marathon how to communicate in the IT chat as a native speaker. Yeah, how to sound more as a native. I think it will be super prolific and useful for you. Okay, thank you very much for your attention. I think we can proceed. Unless, Anatoly, I see that you have a question. Do you still have a question? Please take the floor then. Okay, while we are waiting, okay. No. We have another question in our chat. Hello, how difficult is it to connect closely with new friends and people outside work in English? We'll get maybe a little bit off topic, but this is interesting as well. How long do you go to this after relocation? So rather personal question, how difficult it is to connect and how long did it take with you personally?
All right,
or maybe with some other person in your experience.
I will answer personally with one of the favorite phrase I heard from many experts. It depends.
It depends.
It depends on many factors, including your personality. For me, it was hard. I usually try not to make for friends at work, but work is the easiest environment to make friends with, because you are forced to communicate with the same people all the time. So initially, and like when I moved to US, I actually had a lot of support from my colleagues. So like my story was like typical one, but yes, like in one thing that you definitely will face, and I can guarantee that, you will make friends and you will lose friends. In the first couple years, definitely. And you will lose for friends mostly because you are not completely understand the culture references or specifics. Believe me, I made some very big mistakes when I like when I spoke with Americans. Like I offended them greatly. Like one day, for instance, I was invited to participate for a dinner, and the American family has very nice meals, and I had even without backthought, like at the evening, and it was still Facebook era at that time. I posted something that I was just craving crepes, and I made crepes that evening, and I posted a stupid picture. Oh, I missed that. I missed Russian crepes so much, so I made this, and they took it very personally. They I offended them greatly, and actually that example cost me a friendship. But again, for me it is difficult. For me it's easy to make, definitely much more easy to make friends and connection with people with white background. So who are not Americans, but probably also immigrants from other countries. It's actually much easier to make friends and connections with them than with Americans themselves. Again, cultural differences plays huge role, and either you have to be quite agile and kind of sensitive about that, or find people. I would, again, this is my personal experience. I usually do not. I'm trying to avoid dealing or stay with Russians in US. Again, various reasons. I personally didn't have a lot of good experience when I faced them. But again, it might be my issue. Galina, did I answer your question at least in a high level? All right.
I think yes. Thank you. And Galina, Dmitry has already been our guest, and last time we discussed, among other things, how to get a job in the United States, some other issues about the work and life in the United States. And if you direct me or connect with me in Telegram chat, I will send you a link to our previous webinar. Maybe it will be useful for you, but just let me know, okay? Yeah, Dmitry, thank you. Galina, thank you for being so active. Thank you for your question.
All right, so let's continue. This is very boring stuff. Again, I will probably I will go fast over it. Just to my purpose was to build some foundation where you can explore yourself. Again, some fundamentals and unspoken rules of the basic professional communications. Like the most important one is significance of politeness and cultural sensitivity. I know it's very not stupid question. It's kind of sensitive topic in a way that everybody's speaking about that. But like one of the examples, my team, one of my team is in Vietnam, and one day they went, whole team went to the vacation, and my boss, who is a pure born American, she didn't know what kind of holidays it was, and I knew, I Google, it was Vietnam War Victory Celebration Day. It's a national holiday in Vietnam. If you know a little bit of history, so most of the US consider that they won Vietnam War. So when for the Vietnam people and other countries, it's not so obvious. And again, I made a mistake that I shared this information with my team. It wreaked havoc. Believe me, you don't want to go through that experience again. It was really heated discussion, and heated in a bad way. So again, lesson learned, but something to constantly keep in mind to keep it professional. It doesn't mean you have to be boring. It doesn't mean you have to hide or you have to be like you have to blend with background. No, but just be sensitive, and some of those topics are kind of tricky one. You will make mistakes, and they will learn for that. And third point, also like a little bit more, keeping professional and personal lives separately. This is hard, mostly hard because Americans are very open in the oral communication. Like if you speak with them personally, they are very open about their personal life, how about their sickness, about their lifestyle, about the challenges. They are very open about that, and it's very easy to get idea that those kind of subjects are also can be openly discussed, like mention something. Oh, I'm sorry, I had a headache. I ate something bad. I had a stomach a stomach bug or something like that. Again, it's appropriate in informal tone. In more formal communication, try to avoid that. Again, it's a common rule, but because of the way how Americans communicate, you might get a wrong idea that it's acceptable when it's not. Right, and let me switch quickly on the small talks and humor. This is actually one of the conversation and one of the areas that I'm still weak and I'm struggling because of that. As I mentioned initially, I hate small talks. This is something that in Russian culture consider almost stupid, but small talk in American culture, this is a crucial. So in general, the purpose of the small talk is to make audience or your colleague like less nervous, less anxious, or if you're like in a social interaction or in your life, like outside or somewhere, to indicate that you actually want to interesting in a contact. So it's a way of the it's acceptable and everybody understood well way how to introduce yourself technically. Start with these communications. Americans love to small talking. Like each meeting, we start like 5-10 minutes, depending on the how talkative person or persons are. We are doing small talking, and you have to participate in those and be at least mediocre on those roles if it's not your personality. And it's hard because it's hard for me, it's hard to find neutral topics because I'm not really interested in what the weather in your location, or I'm not really interested in sport, especially in American one. So for me personally, it's hard to find topics. But again, something you have to master. This is a keystone of the US-based networking to train and participate. And as any social skill, it can be learned, it can be practiced. Yes. And again, my role, I have a nickname that the Russian Bull, mostly because I'm trying to keep everybody accountable. And like when the conversation, when the meeting is going out of the loop with small talk, I am the person who trying to like shut them down. It's acceptable. It's acceptable. It's tolerated because of my background. So everybody knows that I'm Russian, so I might not know the exact specific of the culture that it's considered rude, but in this case, I'm using this to my advantages. So I can cut the small talks and be like, guys, thank you, but let's go back to the main topic and blah, blah, blah.
Perfect.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Another example is a humor. Humor is very interesting because actually I still do not understand sometimes American humor, and it's hard. Or like many times, American is trying to make a joke, and they disappointed with my reaction that I have nothing. I mean, I didn't understand that, and they have to explain me what's what they were trying to say to me, and obviously they ruin whole joke. Again, the more you hear all this, the more you're in the context of this culture, the more you will understand the humor. But American loves to make jokes, and mostly, like as I mentioned, American humor is tends to be more optimistic and leans like towards like personal features or clumsiness. Definitely not politics. It's very strict subject. Not health, but something that like about person. Like a great example. One of our salesmen, he is great. Like he is actually bald, and he always make a joke in every like in the presentation in big presentations and webinars, so like thousands of the people in participation. He always make a joke. Oh, sorry, I forgot to come today. So how do you like my new haircut? So he's and it's very acceptable, and it makes like everybody feel uh, a little bit lighter. But again, this is an example when he is using his features as a humor. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry for interrupting you. This reminded me of my experience. So when I was in the United States for the first time, I was like a teenager or something, and there was such a situation, and I still don't quite understand that. Maybe you can explain me what happened then, because we were in the cafeteria, and I was carrying the tray like full of dishes or something, cups, and I wanted to take a seat with other Americans at the table. And I said, can I sit here? And they said like, no. And they started laughing. And I went to another table and they said, no, don't be, no, why? So no hard feelings, please, come on. It was just a joke. And I was like, what funny? Like, what was funny about it? So maybe you could explain me what was funny in this situation.
Yes, I mean it's actually I wouldn't say it's common, but it exists. So it's called witness. I use this word. It's called witness when they like when you come with some request and the immediate response no, or the response that you do not expect. It is considered funny, yes. It's not so funny, but it's like again, it's a way to maybe make a small talk to you.
Yes, but I was like, sorry, didn't get it.
But never take it personally. Usually, it's not personal at all.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you. And when I was trying to figure it out, because to me this question was also very interesting, like humor, because humor is very different, and it's like a huge difference between us, because Russian humor, as you have already said, is a little bit different. We like anecdotes, jokes, like a Russian guy, a French guy, and the American guy met on the desert island, and blah, 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 so on. But in the United States, you can just watch some TV shows like the Ellen DeGeneres show once was my favorite. I'm not sure if it's still on air in the United States, but if you want to like understand the humor, maybe it's possible to watch such TV programs or maybe some other comedies. Maybe you will get a better understanding. This what worked with me actually.
Yeah, again, it's also depends on your goal. So I don't want to be assimilated completely. So I like to keep my background. I like the variety of the experience. So yes, I still have my judgments, and some of the humor I don't get it. I mean, and it is okay. So
yeah, I can relate.
it doesn't mean that you have to pretend, ha 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 ha. I mean, sorry.
Sorry, yeah. And we have another question from Alexander. Do Americans ask you about your political preferences? And we are coming back to the small talk topics as well, I think.
This is considered no conversation on the small talk. It's a very dangerous subject, believe me. I just my typical excuse. I'm not discussing politics. General. It's my statement. Many American, especially older one, will try to ask those questions, but it's considered it's really considered impolite and rude to ask anything until you and sharing this proactively. It's the same way. So I would avoid this topic as hard as you can.
Okay. Any more questions? Oh, maybe we can move on then.
Oh, there are some interesting examples on that chat is going on.
Yeah, a more polite way to ask something like, will be, could I sit here? Yeah, of course, but I was like, I don't know, 16 years old and I didn't know how to be polite then in using my English, yeah?
From what I hear, you said like perfectly fine.
It was okay.
I
Yeah,
think
but it was just another way.
Initial witness. I face this all the time again, and well, from my experience, I don't think it's personal. It's just a.
Yeah, so the rule is don't take things personally. Yeah. Thank you. Any more questions? That's why it was funny. Okay.
So one of the things about humor again, and like like emojis, gifts, or like pictures, sending pictures, it's acceptable in the informal and professional communication. Obviously, like in chats, I'm getting like from my friends a lot of, especially when we discussing boring meeting on the background and make some jokes, or oh, he did it again, or another some blah blah blah. So yes, it is acceptable. Obviously, informal communications you avoid as much as possible. And other things, again, it might be my experience, but I love like text emojis, so like using punctuations. It's my old habit. I had like numerous Americans who didn't understand that at all, so they don't know what it is. So
Really?
Either use pictures or emojis as pictures, and like do not use like punctuations and like round.
Yeah, like something like that. Just let me type. Yeah. No, I can't type that.
Round.
Something like that. This
Round.
is beyond understanding.
Yeah. Yep. And again, sarcasm and wittiness, it's what you experience. It's okay if you in person communication, because like tone of the joke can be interpreted, but never be sarcastic or witty in your written communications. Just it's very easy to misunderstood, and it actually might be taken personally.
Yes, so you never know how the person can accept that, how with what intonation they might read it and whatever. Yeah, their mood also is unpredictable. So yeah, this is quite a good recommendation. Thank you. And we have a question. If I answer, so yeah, talking about answers. If I answer on a joke with a phrase, "You are so funny," not, will it be rude?
Yes, it will be.
It will be rude. Okay. Sorry, Timur, this will be rude.
Yes, I mean, it will be rude. And if you want to be rude, it's completely okay. It's just, and I agree with you, Timur, that sometimes the witness is out of line, and again, you have to have to base on the context of the situation. But in your experience, Nadia, I would say like okay, sorry, just I would be offended personally myself, so I wouldn't probably sit with them, but
Yeah, but then they got offended and they came up to me and said, no, please, come on, it was a joke. So this is when I understood that, yes, something is different between us, probably something I just don't get. And yeah, so I started to learn more about humor, and this is a very nice tool. I would agree with you here. Yeah, you may say so to your girlfriend or to your boyfriend, like, you're so funny. Yeah, we are talking
yeah,
about that.
yes, wittiness is part of the relationship, definitely. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can see that, especially sharp one or like smart one. All right, so uh, last topic for today, I guess, Russian pitfalls. So I will give you examples of the idioms that being used all the time. Again, this is interesting list for me because I extracted this from the our conversations. So I didn't Google anything. It's all here. But
Mhm.
understanding and use of those is actually encouraging. I encourage you to use those. It indicates that you kind of understand culture and language on a little bit deeper level, and it's always appreciated by the other side actually. But before dive there, like some of the typical challenges that's specific for Russians. First of all, is pronunciations, and pronunciations is a big one. Like I have very strong accent, Russian accent. Like everybody admits that, and I don't really care about that. I accepted this fact. I don't want to change my accent, but it is a confusing for some of the people. Like I live in Texas, for instance. So when I first came here a couple years ago, I was so self. I was so self. Gosh, I lost my self-esteem because like nobody nobody in like grocery stores or like clubs, gym, like any service personnel, they didn't understand me. They constantly asked me the same question repeatedly, and it was quite embarrassing. But again, I adapted. So it will be it, and like before I moved to Texas, I lived for 10 years in Manhattan, New York. So I haven't had this issue at all there because Manhattan, New York is quite uh, oh gosh, it has a variety of people and accents, and everybody kind of are being trained to understand all this. Again, specific, and a pronunciation issue might play a bad trick with you when it comes to names. Names are very tricky, especially if you never hear how a name is being pronounced before, and you always see it how it's being written. It might be written in one way and pronounced completely different, like Xavier, Xavier, or Michael, Mike. I mean, the common one, and so like Tyler, Travis versus Travis, and it's like it's a great example. It's many examples, and usually people, at least Americans, actually sensitive about proper
Mhm.
pronunciation of their names. So and it's actually complete. It's I, I'm horrible at spelling. Or when people are trying to spell me anything, or they ask me to spell to them, I hate that. I still missing E and I, for instance. So like it drives me crazy. I know I have to learn the skills, but oh well. So I'm always avoid spelling, and the very common way how the names are being delivered to you is by spelling. So one of the recommendation is, I mean, you have to know spelling. It might save you sometimes, but you can live without that. Like I'm a proof of that. So pronunciation's big part. Idioms. Again, many of the idioms, the direct translation means completely different one. So just, and this is something that comes with experience when you expose to this culture. It's actually hard to learn, or like, at least for me, without context or hearing those idioms day by day. But again, I give you some example of the most common one. And yeah, cultural references. As we love to make a cultural reference to our movies, literature, music, historical events, the same for the Americans. But they mostly make reference to the politicals, their wars, their sport events, and their like entertainment. But again, something that it's very common.
Dmitry, and we have a question, and actually Roman is reading my thoughts, because this is the question I wanted to ask you about, coming back to pronunciation and spelling. Well, imagine that I'm not sure about the name of a person. Is it polite to ask people pronounce their names if you are not sure about it?
Yes, it's completely acceptable questions. Like, oh, I'm sorry, can you spell it the name one more time for me? And actually, it's considered like that you are sincerely interested in that person. So it's actually a good sign.
Okay, that's good. And it's much better than to be rude, yeah? And then to misspell or mispronounce person's name, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah, it's everybody understand that spelling and pronunciations of the name is a challenge. So. All right, so, and I probably will finish my presentation with some of the examples of the faults of friends of the translator. You heard a lot of them. This is my personal nemesis. This is my personal list. This is what I'm struggling with all the time, like actual, sympathy, billion, pathetic, or like sometimes, so one time pathetic, I felt it's something extraordinary or great, and it's like quite opposite meaning, and it caused me a very interesting conversation when I and creates a lot of confusions. Argument effective, like efficiency versus effective is very common common mistake. So this is just my personal chart for myself. So on this I will kind of pause. Sorry, I will finish my part, and I am ready for your questions.
Yes, please, guys, don't hesitate to take the floor. We have another question from Artur. Are the expressions often used that sometimes allow a second interpretation? That's what we have just discussed, I think, such as, would you like to kick us off? Or is it better to avoid them? Are there examples that definitely need to be avoided?
Would you like to kick us off? I mean, personally, I don't think it's an idiom. I think it's very rude. I mean, I'm trying to say, like, do you want to exclude my team, or do you want to exclude me from this participation or this activity? Because I honestly would like to kick us off. I don't recall I hear that expression in this context. So as a general rule, I would avoid everything that yes can be interpreted wrongly, because according to Murphy's law, it will be interpreted against you.
Exactly.
I mean, examples, but definitely need to be avoided. Again, specifics US, try to avoid any reference to sexual orientations, gender, race, and the body composition of the person. Usually it's being considered rude, and you can do this with like informal communication with his friends, you know, like, oh, good enough. What else? One of the examples, again, so, some of the Russian words, like a personal example. At the beginning, I use word liar, a liar, very briefly, because in Russian a liar is like considered, like, even if it's innocent lie or something like that, or if you're trying to like cover or play something, like, oh, that's, I mean, liar. I use it to very casually. For Americans, liar is great offense. They took they take it very seriously, like.
Yeah, thank you. And another thing I wanted to highlight about this question, would you like to kick us off? As you have already put it, so English is full of idioms. I would say that this language consists of idioms, like spoken language, informal language, but also it consists of phrasal verbs. So be very careful with that. I'm not saying accurate, because accurate is also another false friend. Yeah, it has a little bit different meaning. So be very careful. And because sometimes phrasal verbs can have absolutely different and unexpected meaning to you. So be careful with prepositions that go after the verb, because they can change the meaning of the verb to the opposite, completely opposite meaning sometimes. But there are a lot of phrasal verbs, and you are very welcome to learn them. Okay, and we have a couple of more questions.
Yeah,
Alexander gives us recommendation.
Sorry, before I will answer Alexander's question, Artur and Timur, yes, you're right. So I would definitely avoid this, because kick-us off, I actually misunderstood myself. So kickoff meetings when new project is started, yes, it's a very common term. So kickoff meetings, and it's being used all the time. I would like you to kick us off in the meaning that I would like to share some information with you and start the process. Personally, I never heard this phrase or being used like that. So, and the fact that I misunderstood that initially, again, without context, it means that it might be interpreted like you speaking not only with Americans all the time. Some of your colleagues or on the other lines can be people like you who like immigrants, and for whom English is not a second language. Also keep this in mind. So me personally, I wouldn't use that phrase, but again, chat GPT is useful tool, yes. And back to the Alexander question. Do not propose help to the woman. Sensitive topic. It's a stereotype. Personally, I would help. It's always appreciated. But sometimes, yes, you can face some very interesting behavior or interesting interaction. Again, nothing to extremes exists in both worlds. So but and it really depends on your personality. So I wouldn't say it's black and white. It really depends.
It depends. That's what we have started with. It depends. Exactly. Okay. But I saw many times that girls like refuse getting some help in Europe, especially in Europe. But if a woman is asking you to help her, then why not? Yeah.
My experience is different, actually, but
Different.
yes. how you approach this. So maybe like smile or something. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. You can understand immediately from the situation, I guess, the eye contact, like smiling, like asking for help, like, I mean, using nonverbal communication and so on.
Yeah.
So it should be clear. I think it should be clear. Yeah. But actually, you're absolutely right. If you think that it might be offensive, then don't take a risk and try to avoid this topic, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions? It's really great that you have an opportunity to get your answers from the first person and ask your questions. Any questions? Okay. So anyway, we still have our Telegram chat. If you have some other questions, maybe when we finish the meeting, you're very welcome to ask them. And I will send you the links as I promised. So I think it's time to wrap up. Dmitry, what do you think?
Yep, sure.
Thank you for this time. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so thank you everybody for participating in today's speaking club. It was a real pleasure. I hope that you found the discussion interesting and engaging. And remember to practice your new vocabulary and the phrases that you have learned today, and don't be afraid to use them in your daily conversation. Dmitry, millions or even billions of thanks for leading the session and sharing your knowledge with us. We do appreciate your time and effort in making this meeting so interesting and a success.
Thank you. It was fun, definitely fun. So thank you.
It was fun. Yeah, agree. And see you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.